John, we're good? Okay. Um, Good afternoon, members, and to the viewing public. It's 1:40. We are back from our recess, and before us, we have the last agency here in Second Senator District, DPW. So, if you may, Assistant Resident Director Borja. Um, I will now you for your opening statement, if you have.
This. Good afternoon, Chairman and honorable members of the committee. And again, welcome to the beautiful island of Tinian. My name is Joaquin Borja, and I am the Assistant Resident Director for the Department of Public Works here on Tinian. The Department of Public Works plays a critical role in ensuring the safety and health of the general public. We strive to achieve this through our Roads and Grounds Division, which is responsible for repairing, improving, and maintaining in good and safe condition of all public roads, sidewalks, drainages, and other public right-of-ways. Our Solid Waste Division, which is responsible for the management of all municipal solid waste disposal here on Tinian, ensuring the protection of health and safety of our community and the preservation of the environment. We also have the Building Safety Code Division, which is responsible for ensuring that all buildings are held to a minimum safety standards. Our department requires 3 areas of adequate funding in order for us to actually serve our community and function to meet our purpose as a department. These areas are repairs and maintenance, fuel and lubrication, and adequate staffing. The absence of any one of these 3 areas will render our department inoperable. For example, if we are unable to repair our equipment, a team of even 20 field employees will have no choice but to endure the manual labor in the scorching heat of nice sunny days and dangerous conditions of much needed rainy days. A nice sunny day will quickly turn into a nightmare when you are given just a machete or a bush cutter and are instructed to clear 10 feet wide and 200 to 300 feet of bokso and tongan at 3 different locations for the day. In other words, a team of 20 or even 40 field employees will suffer exhaustion, fatigue, and eventually injury. If we do not get funding for fuel and if we do get funding for fuel and repairs for the fiscal year, but lack the needed number of employees, we will not be able to maximize all available equipment and maintain our roadways and waste sites in a timely manner. And the last scenario, I believe we can try this, but I highly doubt it will be successful. If we do have the necessary equipment at all times, but lack fuel, I think we can convince a team of 100 employees to chip in $5 each for a day's worth of fuel. But I believe that only work for 1 day or 2, and then we're back to trying to see if we can chip in for 100 machetes and 100 bush cutters. But in all seriousness, honorable members of this committee, we are a department where success in the upkeep of our roadways, landfill, and other sites are expected on a daily basis. And any failure or untimely completion of tasks are so blatantly obvious to the traveling members of our community and customers at our landfill. We are a department that in times of approaching typhoons or other emergencies are expected to have reliable heavy equipment on hand and ready to respond. We are a department where the shortcomings in resources lead to failure in meeting our mission. And our failure in meeting our mission may result in accidents, damage to property, injury, and even loss of life. With limited resources for the current fiscal year, our department struggled to keep up with road shoulder clearing and many times have painfully decided to prioritize high traffic areas of our island. With very limited resources themselves, DONR, other departments, and the mayor's office have continued to assist us by maintaining certain portions of our roadways, providing us with fuel, manpower, and leveling our landfill. We understand the current financial condition of our government. However, to use this as a reason for not addressing the safety concerns of the public And to use this as a explanation to our public is very difficult and a painful thing to do. Of course, we will do what we can, but that will be at a cost of risking the safety of our staff and neglecting or putting off other high risk areas. Thank you, and I will do my best to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Assistant Resident uh, RD. Before I open the questions to the members, um, I would like to get an update with regards to the solid waste. I guess and the if we are compliant, a landfill, I guess, compliant right now with EPA.
Just from my presence there and observation, I don't think we've been complying to the T, but and that requires daily covering, daily pushing and leveling of the trash, and then also using earth to cover that layer of trash, and that should be done on a daily basis. Given the situation with our equipment, the bulldozer, which does the best job there, the landfill, it had been down for quite a while, but with the infusion of ARPA funds, we were able to repair the track. We got it up and running for a little bit, and then we had some issues with the water pump and I believe the radiator. As of right now, it's up and running, and we are pretty much pinching our capabilities and our limited resources with keeping it decent enough where we could manage it properly.
So it's operational right now.
Yes.
And that's what is it, a D6 or D something, D class?
Yeah, I believe it's a D6 if I'm not mistaken. It could be a D4, but I
Okay,
think it's a D6.
but it's in operation. It's repaired. It's
Yes,
okay.
for now.
What other um, I guess equipment or assets DPS, I mean DPW has here in
Okay. So we also have a what's called a skid steer. I apologize. I'm also learning these different sets of heavy equipment. A skid steer is in the process of being repaired. The parts are being ordered, and as soon as it's operational, it will assist the bulldozer in transferring the daily cover, the daily earth that's being staged across the street, and also to assist with sorting out certain solid wastes that are segregated from daily trash.
currently there's three positions, operators that are vacant. Um, is the landfill understaffed right now? Is that, or is it?
So there is two vacant positions for the solid waste. As of now, we have three solid waste employees, each monitoring the three sites that we currently manage, which is the green waste, the transfer station, and the landfill. Ideally, we would want two at every site so that we could have one operator and then one flagman slash attendant or inspection for them to conduct their inspections upon entry of the waste.
Any other equipments or heavy equipment currently in your inventory? Uh, Dump trucks.
So
Would
we do have an excavator, a dump truck, and a loader. But these equipments were purchased more than, I believe, 8 or 10 years ago. And from just the condition on its surface, I don't think it had received any proper maintenance throughout the years. Um, Within the span of those years, also, we've encountered typhoons, which accelerated the wear and tear on these equipment. So a lot of them are down, and we only have the bulldozer, and then we are in the process of repairing the skidster.
okay. And so, and lastly, the vacant positions are all going to be filled, or are they filled right now, or is it still being announced?
It's currently being routed. There's one, and then we just concluded our interview of positions last week, of which one of them is a solid waste position, and that will soon be routed out.
So the department is planning to fill all the position.
Yes,
That's correct.
we hope so. Yeah.
Okay. And with that, I'll now yield to the members for their questions. I recognize Representative Sablan.
Good afternoon, Assistant Resident Department Head Joaquin Bora. Um, do you have any revolving funds?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
We
what
do
are
have,
those revolving funds?
we do have the solid waste revolving fund
Okay, solid waste.
and the I believe the building safety code.
Okay, your safety code.
Yeah.
And do you happen to know how much are these figures in the account right now as we speak?
Yeah. So the solid waste account as of yesterday is at 0,
Oh,
and the building safety account is at 38,000.
38,000 on that. How flexible is this funding, or how does DPW Tinian uses these funds?
So solid waste is pretty much for the solid waste division, whether that
Yes.
be operational or office supplies and whatnot. The building safety code is also just for building safety purposes, whether
Section,
it be
huh?
operational and all that. Yeah.
Okay.
And we did reach out to our main office, and they did guide us in that the building safety code should try and remain within the bounds of building safety
Okay,
purposes.
and this is as flexible as office supplies, fuel for the section itself, and all
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. You mentioned that DPW Tinian is working on permitting the landfill, and you guys are not on the T yet, but there are works. How is that progress going forward as we speak today?
So there is a discussion going on regarding SADRA funding. That requires a comprehensive plan that's developed with all 3 islands, and there's many stakeholders involved. So we're currently in discussion with the municipality on trying to get a permitted landfill either at the Adgadon site or at the current site. However, I guess the most economical direction is having it developed there at the Adgadon,
Right.
as opposed to having it permitted there and then later transferring off and doing all the necessary steps of closing that down.
Yeah. So you're still under the environmental process of to get it permitted,
Yeah.
and you can assess any tipping fee until it's permitted. Is that correct?
So in the past years, we haven't assessed any tipping fees, yes, because in my opinion, we don't necessarily have the infrastructure in place as of the current condition. But for sure, we will look into charging tipping fees, as that will not so much cover our operating cost. It wouldn't be a significant part, but it's warranted where it should cover at least even a small portion of our operational costs.
Okay. And to your knowledge, I know you're pretty new to the department, but do you happen to know out of the 56 million from our U.S. Congressional Office, I stand to be corrected, perhaps Tinian Rhoda each would be getting actually 10 million from that. Are those funds funnel through here in Tinian? Do you happen to know with
I
those
believe
funds?
I believe the last discussion we were proposing, and this is just a tentative number so far, we're proposing 12 million out of that share. Only because we're trying to prioritize our development of our landfill, which is our top priority right
And
now.
how is that going about, that request out of that 56 million from our U.S. Congressional Office?
So right now, it's requiring a discussion with many stakeholders on putting a comprehensive plan together.
Okay.
And once that plan is finalized and approved, that's when the funds can be accessed. But since there's so many stakeholders involved, I can imagine there's a lot of interest going into it and a lot more discussion going into.
All right. Thank you for that response. Are you for now, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Representative Sablan. I'll now recognize Representative Camacho.
Thank you, Chairman, and good afternoon, Assistant Artie. Um, my only question is basically on your ongoing constructions. I do see that you guys have a lot of developments here and future potential developments. Have you guys, or you, I know building code charges a 2% developer's tax in Tinian, correct?
Yes.
And have you guys made any assessments with the big projects already, or?
So I was just talking to my staff on trying to get a balance for that infrastructure tax, but what we're getting from the system is 3731, which is building safety code, which I don't think that's the correct account. I think it's in a separate account because according to the law, I think the Department of Finance is supposed to keep it in a separate account in their books. So we are working on getting a balance for that, and I can provide those numbers as soon as I get those.
Sure, appreciate it. And so, okay, are you for now? Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Camacho. Just a follow-up. So the developer's tax, there's no estimate right now.
The only one that I've discussed with our inspector was the Bridge Casino down here. At that time, I believe we collected about 74,000. I'm not sure on the accurate date of when we collected that, but that was the last amount that I've heard of.
Okay. And that hasn't been used yet, correct?
That I am not too sure.
Too sure.
I believe the delegation has authority over appropriating
Right.
those funds.
I haven't seen any appropriation in the last couple of years, so that is actually part of the discussion with the Ways and Means is trying to get that developers tax as flexible as possible so that we can address some of the shortfall with with the second and first senatorial. So that I just want to get a rough estimate as to the balance of the developers tax. Any other? Sure.
So the developer's tax, does it stay within the municipal? Yes.
Say again, Congressman. Sorry.
Does it stay within the Tinian?
Yes, I believe. Yeah, it stays within the senatorial district.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Representative Camacho. Any further? Representative Castro.
What is the current inventory of heavy equipment in on DPW Tinian? I noticed you mentioned was it a D6 or D4?
Yeah, I believe it's a D6.
So just one that's a bulldozer,
Yeah.
right? Is there a grader or what else is there?
No, we don't have a grader, and the grader will be used more out there in the roads and grounds. We do have an excavator and a front end loader and a dump truck, but they're currently down at the moment. And those, unlike the older models of equipment, require special, I guess, it requires some type
Computer.
of software. Yeah, the
Yeah.
electronics have been advanced and upgraded that our mechanic is not necessarily capable of diagnosing. And
So perhaps we should include training for the mechanic.
yes, yeah.
Thank you. Chair, you.
Thank you, Representative Castro. Any further? I did note the I guess the positions is all being filled, and the engineer is still within the department. I did notice there was an engineer.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I did notice the engineer still listed within the governor's proposal.
Is is that position vacant or
Uh, no, it's filled.
it's filled?
Yeah.
Okay. Or is it a like a contract or the person actually works? Okay. Sure.
Uh, that person is hired under the public works, but with the agreement with the director, that person is assigned to the mayor's office because all of the major infrastructures are driven from the mayor's office
Okay.
through the delegation and the leadership. So uh, this particular person is sits
Assigned,
in my office and
oh, okay,
assigned
but is being
to
paid under the
yes,
okay,
yes, but
okay.
he does still go out and do inspections for DPW, for road projects, for uh, uh, infrastructure development. He does still go out and perform.
With regards to the mayor, I just want a clarification with regards to the military build-up. Uh, I know they don't pay taxes for their development. Uh, is there utilities heading down that way, or water or power lines to the, I guess, all the activities up north?
Right now, for divert, the power is there because there's a stretch of power from the village all the way to IBB. Unless when you before you reach IBB, you have Camp Tinian, which that would be energized through the local power grid. Um, Not all the way up north. When I say north, I'm talking about Northfield, where the airfields are, and
Right.
the actual, what do you say, the actual training grounds. They don't
So
have power there.
so the contractor doesn't pay any developer's tax to the municipal.
I believe there's an opinion out from the AG, if I'm not mistaken, just recently, that the military don't pay taxes, but the contractor pays taxes.
Right.
So according from Black, they are paying developers tax
S- Not here in
here,
the second senatorial.
here,
Hmm? Is that
and
verified already?
we are trying to get that information through his office because they're the ones supposed to assess this
Right.
development. And then I was just talking to him on the last break that uh, he should write a letter to Secretary of
Yeah.
Finance and find
Because
out.
all the materials that comes in obviously is running through your roads,
Yeah.
uh, and there is development. So how are how are we going to address the damages from all the weight of those heavy equipments heading up north? And, and I would just want to hear an input from uh, Mayor. How is that? Is that ever been discussed in when before they start or ground break on Northfield?
There is in our executive meetings that was brought up, and there was a presentation, a segment of the presentation where they are going to fix Broadway, 8th Avenue, 86th Street, and one of the strip up north.
Okay, so that's part of
That's but there is
giving back
actually
basically.
there's funding already.
Okay,
They did advise me about this funding from the last cordial visit from U.S. Congress that they already allocated funds for that particular project, and it's with JRM. And JRM, they're supposed to be out here in August next month
okay.
with Red Horse to start clearing the.
And this will not affect your CIP, your yearly
No,
allotted.
this is direct
This is
funding from U.S. Congress,
DOD or
GOD.
Okay. Thank you for that, Mayor. Any further? That's all I have with regards to
If I may,
DPW.
Chair,
Sure, Mayor.
and I wanted to uh, Representative Sablon brought up an issue in regards to landfill. At this point in time, after so many discussions and struggle that we went through to try and identify a landfill, a property. As you know, in 2000, I believe it was in 2006, the military and the municipality agreed on a particular area up north within the military released area, and that was Adgidun. Adgidun is a place where we agreed to put up the landfill. So between the municipality and the DOD, we each put in $1 million to undergo a study in regards to those properties. 3 years later, the study came out, and then at the same time, the movement of the Marines from Okinawa to Guam was in motion. And JRM came to us and said, with all this military movement within the region, the the project of having Adgidun designated as a landfill was on hold, and it's not going to proceed. So we got our million back, and then we move on to look for other place to put our landfill. Then about 2 years later on, we found a spot which was um, Pina Pina Point. That's not within the military. That's within our one third. Uh, we did avail, with the help of DPO, we did avail Brownsfield study grant, and as you know, you guys might have seen that it was out on media where they were doing metal detector in Tinian. That was the first phase one of the project, which only goes up to I think a foot surface, and we had some run-ins with that particular area. It was, I believe, 13 hectares of land that was dedicated to for the landfill. Uh, After hearing this and further discussions with the military, they agreed that because of the change of 2015 CGMT proposal to 2023 proposal, where the change was very like 70% was changed from 14 ranges down to two range. No more, no more uh, marina at Sulu. No more high impact area. All of these things changed. So then that spot at Gideon was available. And then with further discussions with them, we have agreed now that they are willing to give that particular property to the to the cinema for DPO. As we speak, also a letter is being pushed out by DPO through the governor's office to request for excess military land, and then they will proceed from there to return that property and move from there. At the same time, we are talking to EPA in case this pulls through. We need EPA to certify the 2009 environment assessment study that was done back there, if it still qualifies. And if it qualifies, we will start availing the SADA grants to move on this project to have EPA certified landfill. But as for now, we are using the one next to Lasarino, which is the deputy director is correct. We are under a supervised, what do you call it, supervised violation. We are violating non-compliant, non-RICA compliant EPA um, dump. You know, there's so many moving parts for this thing. We are at the same time applying for a community landfill permit to address the non-compliant, because building a landfill is not going to take 3 years. It's not going to take 4 years. It's going to take, especially if you don't have the money. it's going to take some time to build up the landfill. So at the same time, we're trying to address to be compliant and to allow some of this trash uh, and waste that are being developed through the development of the military presence on Tinian. Because right now, some of this stuff have to be pushed to Saipan.
Thank you for that, Mayor. So, is there, I mean, how does the military pretty much help through this process, as majority of the waste now is coming from the buildup?
So what the policy was, the administrative policy was from the previous administration, what you bring in, you must bring out. And that, according from JRM, we lost a couple of training opportunities for for the cinema, not only Tinian, but cinema. These trainings consist of maybe 1,000 personnel from different parts of the world, that the way they do their training. And according from them, we lost a couple of them. So the policy back then was what you bring in, bring out, because uh, and they were using the landfill in Saipan. This is before U2, when the sales were still okay. But after U2, they had to divert it somewhere else because the Sinema government cannot accept any more trust from the military because of the situation at cell number 2. So these guys the military would bring their trash to, before it was Guam, and then when the government of Guam found out that they were bringing trash from Tinian to process in Guam, they stopped. So at some point of time, these guys would take their trash to Okinawa, San Diego, Hawaii, whenever they have a slot on their planes to bring them out. And that's the situation. And we understand that for them, they would rather process and take care of these things here. So that's why we're collaborating with them, with EPA, and to come out with a temporary fix for now until we get our municipal community municipal permit for this existing dam.
So just to be clear, they are dumping right now in your landfill. Is that correct? Or they're storing it somewhere up there
So for the training or for the construction?
for the construction?
Because for the construction right now, it's only items that are purchased on island, most of these things, no. And then the phase one is basically clearing.
Right.
So there's no major construction going on also and they were permitted to have on site secure whatever trash they have for now.
Okay. Thank you for that, Mayor. Any further from the members? Being there's none, thank you, Resident Director. Assistant Resident Director Borja. I'll yield to you for your any statement to the committee.
All right. Thank you, Chairman. I know you are all pretty exhausted, but can I just have this opportunity to point out just a few items
Sure.
that I could get some assistance from you? So for the two unfunded positions under the ops and maintenance, which is pretty much our roads and grounds, two of these positions that stated unfunded, we did interview and went ahead and selected the top candidates for those positions. I believe we have funding for the remaining of 2023, but the next fiscal year, it's still in a question mark. So if you could please help us secure funding for those two positions, we could go a long way with our maintenance of our road shoulders.
Okay.
And
So yeah, just provide the committee the impact with the two um, positions, no? So
Okay.
just provide the and should we find some funds, we can at least address it on that level for next fiscal year.
Okay. Yeah, and, I would just like to point out that here on Tinian, I've done some measurements on Google Maps, and we have almost more than 50 miles of roads, and these do not include the access roads that are not accessible right now. So these two unfunded positions would greatly help our department. So right now we have just one roads and grounds, which is he's stretched pretty thin. We've also had to schedule him on our solid waste side just to cover the slack on the solid waste side as well. So we we have all of these positions, and for the ones that are vacant right now that are indicated as funded, the announcements are currently routing. That would take. I'm not sure why the paperwork is going pretty slow. I believe it's the transition of administration, but that will take some time. And we hope that we won't further exhaust our one-man team for roads and grounds. And the mayor's office have graciously provided us with a one MOU starting yesterday. So that would really help our department. The other item that I would like to point out is we also share the same circumstances with the aging office in regards to a vehicle that was purchased under ARPA. A PO was issued, and with a PO issued, I believe those funds have been encumbered or obligated. We would really appreciate it as well if you could assist us as well regarding that vehicle.
So the vehicle was purchased, but it was not released.
Yes, it's been released and we've had it for a few months, and then we got the memo to return it back. The vehicle's still in our property. We've parked it since, and we've avoided using it until we receive further clarification on the status of that purchase.
Okay. With regards to the vehicle, so it's your custody, and who are we supposed to return it to?
Triple J.
Oh, Triple J. Okay. Okay. Sure.
See, when they used to have their ARPA, this is where these things were pushed through. When they had their money, these were all processed before January, encumbered and according from finance and munis, that is paid. But when the new administration came in, they told them, I guess 2 months into the administration, they told them that 2, 3 months in the administration, they told them they have to return the car. So I was wondering if the payment was made according from munis and finance, why are we returning a paid car? And this is the same situation with DCCA. This is the same process that they took. We asked for clarification, but with no avail. I don't know.
Right. I guess.
So I told them to just keep the cars for now and hold on
Right.
until we clarify who's, because it was under their account that was paid.
Right. Yeah, and the car dealers will not take the cars back. So I believe those we're going to be
We're gonna end
responsible for
up paying
right.
anyway.
Right. So that's something that I believe we are going to clarify that. We did meet with finance, and I guess the priorities of the remaining ARPAs being discussed. None is final, um, and so these are the only two vehicles that we have heard of since when we took over, started the budget hearing, that were purchased and now asked to be returned. So we'll get some clarification with that, and see if that can be part of the priority under the remaining ARPA. So we are in the discussion with the administration with that. We're not nothing is set in stone yet, but at least we now know that there's two outstanding vehicles that were purchased and left the the car dealership, and now it's what to do with it, right? So, and sure.
All right, and then just two more items. So in our initial submission of the budget, I had allocated the cost of utilities and communication between our roads and grounds and our solid waste division. So given that our roads and grounds are currently housed in the solid waste facility building, I zeroed out the utilities item for roads and grounds, which according to the governor's proposal here for 2024 department submission is at zero. I did place 30 on the solid waste site, but I found out that the solid waste budget has been taken care of by the main office. So if you would allow me to make that correction and insert here 17,000, and it's a drop from 30,000 because I made a oversight on my estimation of the monthly average. So it would
And
drop
this
from
is for
30.
the which section?
This is for the operations and maintenance for Tinian.
So it should be at 17, not 10,000. Not so
Well, here it's showing zero, only because I allocated it entirely to the solid waste portion.
okay.
So right now it's showing zero. So if you could strike that out and add 17,000. And then the other item is communications. I allocated 3,000 for the roads and grounds based on the cell phones that are issued to the employees. And I allocated 8,000 to the solid waste because the cell phones belong to solid waste employees. If you could revise that to 8,000, that would really help us with our communication, given that the boys are going far across the islands, and we would like to maintain communication for any emergency situations. We are looking into using radios, probably going back to using those Motorola radios to keep in touch and ensure that the boys are safe out in the field, as well as the public if there's any mishaps out there.
Okay. I believe we have our guest secretary here that will ask that at a different time, but uh, there's some discrepancies in the special fund, so that one I'll have to go back and see what's if it's accurate or not. So I'm sure that's something that can be addressed internally. So
Okay.
um, and go ahead. Is that it?
And I believe that would be all. And my closing remark would just be, please help our departments here in Tinian serve our people. I know it's a difficult time right now given the financial condition of our government. But the bottom line is we're dealing with the lives of people, and whether it's not the lives, but it's the livelihoods. Thank you.
Thank you. And maybe before we close out, I'd just like to hear a comment from the mayor. I know there's some talks about raising the developers tax, and I would like to basically hear a position. I know this is a little bit off. There is talks to increase it to 5%. So that's something that's being proposed to try and help a lot of what you know. I know it's going to be a tough pill to swallow, but it's being discussed now. So I just like to hear if you have any, Mayor. I don't want to put you in the spot.
Is that the Roman, Congressman Roman?
It's a similar bill, but yes, to that effect, yes.
The threshold with the 250?
Yeah.
Uh, I've looked at it, and for me, I think we need to have further discussions and bring in the business people, and let's hear what they say. Uh, for Tinian, it's we have a booming business. The major projects are going, so that would be a positive for us. But at the same time, uh, I wanted to some of these businesses have come to my office and ask about what do I think about the new proposal. I think that was Rowan Benaventis bill.
Yeah. Well, it's
Earlier.
not. It's not the bill. He actually withdraw the bill, I believe.
Okay.
So um, there's other discussions, but it
Okay.
hasn't been final. I just wanted
So
as a
this
just to hear from this
just shoot me
editorial.
an email, Chairman, and then we'll come up with an opinion. And I really some of the business folks here do really drop to the office and say, "What do you think about this? Oh,
Right.
what do you think?" And the big guy on the block is Black Micro,
Right.
and they shared some uh, feelings about the bill.
But they're the one that's using most of
Yeah,
the infrastructure right now. So that's something that needs to be addressed,
right.
whether they like it or not.
Yep.
I think it's about time we have that discussion, not only here, but even in the island of Saipan. But to then we'll.
And Chair, they're willing to sit down.
Yeah.
They've told me that to let them know if there's any public hearings to be
Right.
held here in Tinian, and they make sure that there's a staff there to chime in.
Okay.
No.
Thank you for that, Mayor. Is there any further question for the members? None. Being there's none, I would like to thank you, Mayor, personally, from the Ways and Means, for your hospitality here in the Second Senator District. Um, we do appreciate uh, the warmth you've given us, um, the hosting that you provide for us. We are very appreciative of that, and we like to thank you personally. Uh, this budget, since I've been in the legislature, is one of the hardest because with the big cuts, and this is something that it's is very hard for me. As you can see, we are vested very close to the island of Tinian, so it affects everybody. And with that, Mayor Odan, I'm very happy to meet with you and discuss the budget as we move along the budget hearings. No, with that, any comments from the member before we adjourn? You recognize Representative Sablan because he's very recognized here.
Thank you, Chairman. I do also, Mayor, want to thank you and the people of Tinian for really hosting us these past 2 days. We are really grateful for all the good hospitality. And as the chairman said, we as a team of the Ways and Means, we're going to do our best to, you know, give you guys whatever it is that you guys are requesting in our Ways and Means. Thank you.
And with that, if there's no objection, the chair will adjourn at 2:20 or 2:30 p.m. Thank you, members. And this budget is hereby adjourned. Thank you.